Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics and the European elections next week. And in the run-up to that, various political leaders have been doing interviews to present their pitch for voters ahead of those European elections, so why you should vote for them. So I'm going to go through those. But it's just going to include the major parties of Great Britain. Apologies to those in Northern Ireland. But I think that's one part of the UK where people are going to vote on a range of issues, whereas because of the nature of it, if you want to leave the EU and you're in Northern Ireland, what's your choice? DUP, UKIP, because they're present there. So most people are going to vote along other issues. Whereas in Great Britain, the European elections have been taken purely as symbolic. It almost doesn't matter what individual parties want to do in the European Parliament. It's all about still being in the European Parliament or not. So Theresa May, first of all, is describing her Brexit bill, which is going to be voted on, nearly 2 weeks after those elections. And as new and improved, she says, it's a bold offer. Of course, she'd very much like you to vote Conservative in those elections to back her plan, even though she hasn't said what it is yet. It's supposed to include a guarantee on workers' rights and environmental standards, but such a thing is, of course, impossible. No bill can enshrine anything in law that a different government cannot amend or abolish, and pretty quickly as well. Besides, who would trust a party that has stripped away worker rights and environmental support just in the last few years to stick with what they would consider a concession grudgingly given? The Prime Minister said she hoped it would persuade what she termed sensible Labour MPs. Just a little dig there to try and draw attention to the cracks in Labour Parliamentary Party whilst wallpapering over the gaping chasm in her own. But anything that even smells of maintaining rights for people in the UK would turn away as many Conservative MPs as it attracts opposition ones, maybe even more. But I'm not quite sure what Theresa May is suggesting that a vote for the Conservatives next week is a vote for. And I'm not just trying to be glib because I'm opposed to the Conservatives. I really don't get it. Is it a vote for a hard Brexit? Well, then you vote for the Brexit Party or for UKIP. Is it a vote for a soft Brexit? Well, then you vote for Labour. What would a vote for the Conservatives indicate? Support for May's deal? What is May's deal? As for Jeremy Corbyn, today was his last chance to get behind a public vote and sway voters and actually become the largest British party in the European Parliament, something that was very much on. But no, in fact, it's become clear that when he talks about a public vote, he means excluding an option to remain. Some Corbyn supporters yesterday were looking at an interview he gave and trying to say, oh, no, you're misunderstanding because he didn't specifically say that. But Jeremy Corbyn said today that his Brexit position was clear. So let's look at the 3 Brexit positions that it's possible for a political party to have. 1, you are wholeheartedly in favour of remaining in the EU. This is not Corbyn. He has said repeatedly and recently that we should leave the EU. 2, you are in favour of a public vote. Maybe you're in favour of remaining, maybe you're in favour of leaving, but you know there's an impasse in Westminster and the only way to break it is with a public vote. Now, although Corbyn says he might get behind a public vote, he added the caveat that it would only be to prevent a Conservative deal or no deal. If he could win a general election, he said that he would not support a public vote because he'll have the general election, please. Also, he said he does not support Remain being an option on the ballot paper. The third possibility is that you are in favour of leaving the EU. Now, of those 3 statements, remaining in the EU, getting behind a public vote either way, or staying on track with Brexit and getting out of the EU. Of those 3 statements, it's only the third one that Corbyn made and makes continually. So if he's going to say that his Brexit position is clear, then that means Jeremy Corbyn is a Brexiteer, which we knew anyway. To be anything else is to say that he's lying about his position being clear. Now, if you're a natural Labour supporter such as myself, then the issue of voting Labour in these elections comes down to who do you think decides party policy? The vast majority of Labour MPs, Labour members, including Corbyn's own Momentum Group, and Labour voters are in favour of remaining within the EU and using a referendum with Remain as an option as the vehicle to achieving that. Jeremy Corbyn said party policy is decided by party members and not party leaders. Or you can decide that it is the leader deciding policy, as I have had to. I've already said that it's a shame that I won't be voting for Labour candidates who have, in my region, publicly come out as supporting remaining within the EU in no uncertain terms. But in this symbolic election, a vote for Labour is a vote for leaving the EU. That is how it's going to be seen, and that's how I'm taking it. And that's why I can't vote Labour this time. So I'm not voting for a party based on policies, but on one policy, which I don't really approve of generally. What do they want to do about Brexit? The other parties, let's have a look. Well, the Liberal Democrats want to take it out back and be buried in the same hole as Old Yeller. So they're getting my vote. And don't be fooled by Sir Keir Starmer of Labour's statement this weekend when he said that the government should put their deal to a public vote. Now, as a member of Corbyn's cabinet, he would not say something that did not meet with the approval of the Labour leader. But he didn't say with Remain as an option. Now, given that there are people, Corbyn included, talking about a public vote on Brexit deals, never assume that anyone referring to a public vote means with Remain as an option. So in terms of other parties then, Change UK believe, as I do, that there isn't time for another referendum by the end of October. I'm convinced there isn't. So their position is to revoke Article 50. For those able to vote in Scotland, the SNP is unsurprisingly in support of another referendum with Remain as an option, a line that they've taken consistently. They also want Scottish referendum if the UK leaves the EU. They do also back revoking Article 50, but only, not as a default option. Their default option is referendum, only if the alternative is crashing out with no deal. That's the only way they would back revoking there. In Wales, you've got Plaid, who are pushing for reversal of Brexit with the environment as their key driver, their push. They have a slightly trickier time of it than the SNP, as a majority in Wales did vote in favour of Brexit, but nobody seriously believes that that's still the case. So it's not like they have to be super cautious, if only Labour would heed that message. They also have a position of an independence referendum as well, but only if the UK leaves the EU without a confirmatory public vote. So a little bit of a softer one there than the SNP's line. They're also pushing very hard, and this could gather a lot of former Labour votes, on the EU's youth guarantee scheme, something that will be completely lost to our youth if we leave the EU. The Green Party are, of course, pushing to remain in the EU. Unusually for even pro-Remain parties, they also seem to be focused on the political aims of the EU, not just the economic benefits of membership. Now, as such, in general, that would normally mean that I'd be transferring my vote from Labour to the Green Party. They'd be getting my vote next week. But there doesn't seem to be much chance of a Green candidate getting elected in my region. I'm afraid my region is a bit of a Brexit hotspot. Last time around, it was UKIP City. So the Liberal Democrats have a decent chance. The Green Party do not, so that's why I'm supporting the Liberal Democrats. Like I say, I'm basing my vote on one policy, not several. Now, both UKIP and the Brexit Party, of course, are in favour of leaving the EU with all haste, without a deal. And, well, what they're stopping, they're not so much calling it a no deal now, they're calling it a WTO deal. They're talking about leaving and trading on WTO terms. However, leaving the EU without a deal would be a breach of WTO trading terms due to the border within Ireland. So, yeah, there's that. So anyway, depending on what you wish to vote for, those are the parties you've got as options. As I say, you've got a few more options in Northern Ireland. Apologies for that. If you are in favour of a very hard Brexit, then it's UKIP or the Brexit Party, whichever you find the least intolerable. If you are voting in favour of, it's the Conservatives. If you're voting in favour of a soft Brexit, then it's Labour. If you want to have a public vote, a referendum, then it's SNP, Plaid Cymru, or Liberal Democrats, or the Green Party. I would stress with the Green Party, make sure it's an area that has a realistic prospect of getting a candidate, because I think, although the votes can always be totted up and we can see where the balance was at the end of this, what really matters is seats, MEPs. What is the makeup of the British portion of the European Parliament going to look like? We need to use our votes to get people in. And just be critical of your region. If it's not realistic for the Green Party, swing behind the Liberal Democrats, really. And those are your options. So I hope you found it useful. If you did, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe for further content. And until next time, I'll see you later.